Hemant, Varshney, marketing. So often small businesses that I work with, businesses, we just talk about sales. We don't talk about marketing enough. Top of funnel, getting those leads, getting those interested parties to the top of the funnel so sales can take over and try to close. Hemant is a pure marketer. Before we got on the call, he started talking about some of the follow up that we do before our conversations here at the podcast, and he was making points about them and complimenting them. I mean, the things he does. He was born in Malaysia, lived in many countries, came to the U.S., worked at a few firms, including American Express and the Street, and made now DigiCom, which is a pure marketing firm. As the smallest, the first question I ask him is, should every business do digital advertising, do digital marketing? And the smallest business to the largest business to a small populated area to a large population. He's in New York City, of course, there's a large population there, but he talks about doctors that he uh, works with, and just a great conversation. We also talk about some of the technical issues that Apple has put up, that Google has put up, but it's just a pure marketing conversation. I really enjoyed the conversation. I know you will as well. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Hemant, Varshney, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Should all businesses that want to grow do digital marketing?
Yeah, I think there are many different forms of digital marketing. At the very least, all businesses should be online. They should have some organic pages set up. Start building some sort of following. I think it's very important.
And so, without exception, every business should be online.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a restaurant, if you're doing, trunk shows for clothing,
Mm.
kind of whatever it is, why not? Like content is king, right? And like distribution of content is important, and it gives people an easy way to find you, or an easier way to find you. So, and there are a lot of like free tools out there, right? So just setting up a profile, not even talking about paid, just setting up your profile, creating some content, uh, and then going out and try to build a following. I think that it's every business should be taking advantage of it.
Now, I mean, you're a growth marketer. You've got a great firm there in New York City. Do some businesses lend themselves better to digital marketing than others?
Yeah, absolutely. There are businesses that have their profiles already set up. They're ready to run some paid ads. They're getting some engagement. And then there are other businesses that built their entire businesses off of just organic reach and organic engagement. It does take time getting content out there, creating it, and it might be uncomfortable at first, but it is very important.
And what if they're ultra local? Now you're in New York City. There's millions of people everywhere, but if you're in a if you're in a small town, should you still, pursue, Google Ads, these kinds of, digital marketing?
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple examples, right? So we work with a couple doctors, and typically a lot of our clients are e-commerce, they're venture backed, but we do work with doctors, and there'll be like a doctor in North Carolina, and they're trying to increase patient volume. And the best way, for them to kind of get up and going, if SEO isn't working for you yet, is start running paid ads that are geo targeted to the areas you serve. And an example could be typing in foot doctor near us. You're in a zip code in rural North Carolina, and your ad just now pops at the top of the page. You click on it, you find out who the doctor is, you set up tracking for calls and appointments, and
Mm.
now you got yourself a potential new patient.
Let's talk about that search engine optimization versus, paid advertising. Should they be in conjunction? Should they be separated?
Sure. So, search engine optimization, it's very different than paid ads, right?
Right.
In the sense where you create your website, you create your content. There are meta tags that you're adding, description tags you're adding. You're building backlinks, and Google's algorithm will take time to rank you on the specific keywords, and it might take 6 months, or it might take 8 months to start ranking on a lot of these keywords. And then you have paid ads. So paid ads, you start running ads, and you start, your ads start propagating on the top of the page kind of right away.
Mm.
Pros and cons for both. Pro for paid ads, that you can start getting customers immediately. You have to put a budget behind it. It's instantaneous. The con, it costs you money. SEO, on the flip side, it is more or less free unless have a freelancer or an agency building out your SEO on site. It takes you quite some time to rank. When the algorithms change, your ranking can change very easily. But the click traffic, it's free once you are ranked.
Yeah, and Google keeps changing their algorithm, and I know you talked a lot about the big Apple iOS change that happened last year that just kind of ratified everything. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I think, if for any online business, now specifically speaking to like any e-commerce business, right, or SaaS-based business, what happened pre-iOS is you could track all these different events, and say you have 10 conversions a day, driven by Facebook, and you can see it in the Facebook ad platform. And in the scenario, you're only running Facebook ads for, just for an arbitrary example. In Shopify, you're seeing 10 conversions a day occur as well. So you're shipping out 10 products a day. Say your CPA, your cost per acquisition, is $10 as well. Uh, what ends up happening is iOS 14 happens, user adoption increases, and all of a sudden on the Facebook ad platform, your 10 conversions a day went to 5 conversions a day.
Mm.
But on the back end in Shopify, since Facebook is your only traffic source, you're still seeing 10 conversions a day happening on your back end. And so with the iOS challenges, what ended up happening is these conversions were still occurring. However, you're seeing half the amount of conversions because now Apple is not allowing you to track, all of the conversion events that are occurring. So a lot of marketers and brands basically said, "Oh no, my cost per acquisition went from $10 to $20. It doubled
Mm.
because we're seeing half the volume." And so they started to pull back ad spend. And when they started to pull back ad spend, they saw that total business, right, what Shopify is reporting, started to drop, and it caused this kind of inflection point of, "Oh no, what do I do?" But when in reality, conversions were occurring. You're just not seeing them. And so it's important to build this total business view where you're looking at all of your channels, all of media, and ensuring that you're optimizing towards the best returns from a total business perspective, because there's just loss of visibility.
Now, why did Apple do this?
Privacy, right? Some people are speaking that, hey, Apple's building an ad platform, and the Apple Store is an ad platform. You can run search ads, but really, what I think, like from my point of view, it's Apple kind of built this brand, amongst other things, but very recently pushing the whole privacy portion. If they want to build an ad platform, I think we would have already seen it. If they're going to build an ad platform or in the middle of it, sure, it'll come out. There's not much users can do about, marketers can do much about it besides get on the ad platform and figure out how to market on there. But I do think it is sticking to kind of their brand identity and ensuring, more privacy.
So they're saying that they want to give their iPhone subscribers and users more privacy. But generally speaking, these companies do this stuff because it makes them more money, right, Hemant? So I mean, so that you say they're just trying to eventually push to their own ads.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a play to generate revenue, sure, they could build out their own ad platforms, and now you advertise on their ad platform, and because you're on their ad platform, they're giving you first party data. So, but the thing is, we haven't seen this Apple ad platform outside of the App Store yet, right? So, um, I don't know. I guess there's more to come from that.
Yeah, and of course, Apple is was the most popular cell phone here in the States. Of course, it's not worldwide. We know that's Android, but you also mentioned before how Google will start ranking things. You
Yeah.
know, how is Chat GBT going to change all that, or is it?
So, okay, this is a great question because there are all these videos out there right now. Use ChatGPT, create content. Um, and what a lot of users might not necessarily know is you're going to go onto ChatGPT, have it create content that Google is detecting as AI generated content, because that exists. And you're going to put these blog posts up or this information up, and Google will actually ding you for that because of plagiarism, AI detected. And if you want to use ChatGPT, it's a great tool. Absolutely, like it's an AI consumer facing dashboard that uh, didn't exist before. It existed to a lot of businesses. There are a lot of AI tool automation tools that have been out for years and years, but I think it's the first real consumer facing,
Mm.
dashboard. And if you want to use it to find ideas, right? Things to talk about, certain points that are occurring macro level, micro level based on your industry. And then as the expert, write about what is going on in your industry. Like, don't just copy and paste what ChatGPT is saying. Your content, it should be authentic. We write content literally on a daily basis, around digital marketing, all different types of trends, and we have writers writing it. Sure, maybe every now and then we're pulling some information from ChatGPT, but a human is writing our content. Will that change in the future? Potentially, yeah, absolutely. I know Google's building their own bot, but uh, ChatGPT isn't the expert in all things digital. It's pulling from a database of information to put together strings of letters and numbers so that you can copy and paste. Like you'll get dinged on it eventually.
Isn't the fear that just how search engines work will be replaced with AI like that? I've been using it for a couple of months now, and I try to kind of trick it every once in a while, and I'll say, how long will it take me to drive from here to there? And it'll reply, it's like, I'm an AI. I don't know where you are. You know, So but just those kinds of things, where what restaurants, I'm in the mood for barbecue, where can I eat around here? It won't answer that. But eventually, will search engine be replaced by a chat type style?
It already exists.
Yeah.
We have Amazon Alexa. My Alexa will probably go off in a second.
Right.
You have Siri. You can ask, these AI tools what's going on, where things are, and then it's going to give you an answer based on the data it's pulling from.
Right.
And
Right.
even in like the marketing sense, right? Like there are a lot of new long tail searches for like paid ads on Google or Bing that that are longer tail because people are asking Siri what to do, or asking Alexa, or Cortana, through voice commands.
It is going to be fascinating. So you make a point of saying that you're a you're a growth marketing firm. What's
Yep.
the difference between growth marketing and just marketing?
Sure. I think a lot can break down in marketing, right? So you could have a person that specializes in creatives, like just developing creatives, and they're in marketing. Somebody who throws events, they're also in marketing.
Hmm.
um, a person that is doing your brand positioning, right? And so when we talk about growth, specifically mean that our goal is to increase your number of customers or transactions or subscribers at or below a target. So a company might be profitable at $40 cost per acquisition. Our goal is to get them to that $40 or below and then scale. So instead of them seeing like 100 transactions a day, trying to get them to scale all the way to 1,000 transactions a day,
Hmm.
at that $40 benchmark.
And is it always for a product or service? What if they wanted to get more views or more subscribers, etc.?
Sure, yeah. So that's a lot of that would fall into the brand awareness category.
Hmm.
So when we're also speaking about growth, we're speaking about users that are ready to purchase your product, right? There's probably I would say like 3% of your users are at a given time are ready to purchase or are in market to make that purchase. The other 97% fall into different buckets of like looking but not ready to buy, trying to learn about a new category, or just don't even aren't even aware that, hey, listen, this is the type of product or service I would like. And so they fall into this brand awareness category where, sure, yeah, we do run brand awareness campaigns, but our goal is to drive acquisition.
Right, because the tough thing about brand awareness is that it's hard to measure the return of investment.
Yes, exactly. And there are some ways to kind of do it, but really what you're trying to, like, your KPI, it's very different. Instead of focusing on the number of sales that have gone up, you might run an ad recall test to see how many people remember your brand, right? These
Mm.
people are at like the top of the funnel versus a person who's ready to purchase or is making the purchase, they're at the bottom of the funnel.
And you make a point of saying that no campaign should be less than 3 months minimum.
Yeah, so we like to work with partners for 3 months, like at a minimum, and the way we kind of structure all of our contracts, it's pretty straightforward. Like if we're not doing our job, you shouldn't be working with us. So like
Mm.
have a very easy out clause, but it does take a couple months for us to develop the creatives, do your budgeting and planning, start executing media, whether you're already running media or not. And then everything we're doing is very data driven. So we understand conversion rates. We know if your media buying costs, doubles, we need to increase conversion rate by 2x to sustain a specific CPA, or your click through rate, right? And so for us to identify new ways to scale, we need to run a series of tests. We need to understand what's working, what creative, what headline, what audience. Is it on Facebook feed, or Is this person in California? Where are these conversions coming from? And then once we kind of dissect all the data, we're able to figure out, here's what's working. Let's double down here. Let's trim the fat, and then focus on driving scale using maybe a new distribution strategy, or using a different platform. But yeah, it's all in the data.
Hmm. Okay, so let's plan this out a little bit,
Sure.
Hemant. So let's say I'm in the technology firm, managed service providers, and let's say, they're providing outsourced IT for small to medium sized businesses. So let's say there's an MSP in an area, and they kind of give some zip codes and some counties that they want to find small to medium sized businesses. Talk to the owner, talk to the person in charge, and make their pitch. How would you work with them?
Sure. So the first part is just understanding if they have run any paid ads in the past. If the answer is yes, then before we take on a client, we audit their work just to understand, are the goals they're giving us attainable? Is it
Mm,
within reach? If it's not within reach, where we won't take on the client, we'll do the audit, we'll hand it over, um, but we won't take on the client because it's a lot harder to work towards aspirational goals versus like a goal that after running some test optimizations, putting our best foot forward, that you can actually attain. So
mm.
once we kind of figure that out, then we will have a kickoff call. We'll start developing creative assets, giving feedback on their landing pages, and ensure that all of their tracking and systems are working correctly. Collect data, optimize, and continue like this, rinse and repeat process until we're able to get to their target. On the flip side, say a client has never run paid media, they are a new brand. One thing that's very important for that type of entrepreneur that's like in the more earlier stages, it's growth takes time.
Mm,
It's going to take you really most cases 3 to 6 months before you're finding those small pockets of success, because oftentimes for new brand launches, unless it's a big brand launch, like these companies are venture backed, there's a lot of money to be spent, or there's a big name behind it. It's running a series of tests to identify the user who this product is solving a problem for, the type of creative, what ad platforms work. So sometimes even if a client's like, hey, we have a $10,000 budget. Well, is it 10,000 a month for 6 months? Is it 10,000 for 1 month? Like, it takes time. And then adding in another layer of complexity is there's a lot of macro elements that are happening. Is it Black Friday? Sure, a lot more people are apt to
mm,
buy, but your media prices are probably going to cost you double or triple what it would normally cost, right? Is it in January? Your media prices are much lower, but people
mm.
just bought a bunch of things. So, there are other macro level factors that kind of go into it. But really, it's about getting started, testing, understanding, what your runway is, understanding what your products are, um, and being open to changing.
So when it's a service business like that and you're not selling a product,
Yeah.
the service company pretty much just wants appointments. They want to be able to meet with them so they can pitch. I mean, so it really kind of turns into lead generation, but that's different from digital marketing. No?
No, so you could run lead gen ads, right? Like if there's an ad on LinkedIn, if there's an ad on Facebook, you can click on it. Your creative should talk to your service, what you do, how you're kind of solving for a specific problem with your service. You can click on it, and then the lead form pops up automatically. Usually, your information is pre-filled. Um, what we typically see, if it's for something service based like that, is the quality of the lead might not be great, uh,
Mm,
oftentimes. So what you'd probably want to do is drive them directly to like a Calendly link, have them book time right away, set up your email flows and text message follow up flows to remind people to jump back on. Um, and really, when when you're getting these leads, it's important to speak to them as fast as you possibly can,
Yeah.
just because people are interacting with so many forms of content that they might forget that they interacted with yours. So having that kind of follow-up automation is very important.
Yeah, I forget the numbers, Hemant, but there's something crazy. Like every minute that goes by since they made the request, like you lose a certain percent, chance of closing and meeting with them. That's just the world we live in. So when it's a service business like that,
Yeah.
and they want to meet face to face, and they're going to drive there, and they're going to set up a Calendly link like that, that would be how you would see success, is just kind of making those appointments, right? The call to action, make a marketing piece, and the call to action would be make those appointments. That's how that would work,
Yeah,
essentially.
so I think it goes like even like a layer deeper, where it's like we booked 50 meetings, right?
Mm,
We spent $50. Did we drive any sales from
right.
those meetings, right? At some point, it's important to understand your ROI and your investment, because you have a media investment, you have your own time allocation, or if somebody on your sales team is running out making these calls, you're paying a salary, or so it's what is that ROI? And say of that 50, you close five, 10% of the sales, so you close on five sales, and each one of those sales net you, I don't know, $25, right? So you made $125. Now you have positive ROI on that $50 you spent.
But is it frustrating sometimes from your point of view, Hemant, where you've given 50 leads and perhaps their sales team is inept and they're not closing anything, and there's nothing that's out of your control at that point, and you say, well, it's not my fault you didn't close them. I got you these leads.
I think there needs to be some sort of like feedback loop or understanding of, why a partner decided not to go with you and decided to go somewhere else.
Mm,
I think something that we like to do, or at least I like to do, is that if a partner decides to go in a different direction, we just, ask like, hey, listen, appreciate you letting us know. Understand you decided to move a different direction, just so we can be better in the future for our partners. Please let us know, why you decided to move on. Did we not provide you with enough information? Is it due to cost? Like, just give us that qualitative feedback. And if there are 50 partners, maybe 20 of them will give you some information, and now you created yourself a feedback loop of understanding, hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z for the business. That's one way. The other way is just, if you have a sales team out there, they're out there pushing, sit on some of their calls, like listen to the recordings, understand, did somebody get tripped up on a question? Is it an education issue where they're not, a lot of times sales teams are there to sell, and that's what they're really good at, but they might not necessarily know the product or have to have use it. Like, have your sales team trained on what they're selling before they start selling it.
you're a pure marketer, Hemant. I absolutely love it. There's going to be some, even our pre-conversation is just, it's wonderful. Some business owners might not know the difference between sales and marketing, or they'll just, hey, I hired this person. He's my sales and marketing person. To them, you say what?
Sure. I think we'll use the example of the IT company. If you have the salesperson, they're probably not sitting down and running Facebook ads or building their
Right.
organic channels, and and they're there usually, not always, but usually, to have the conversation with somebody that's an inbound lead, or they're doing cold outbound, right? Emails, calls, like. But if you're a person that's more focused on marketing, well, you're probably running ad campaigns, you're running email campaigns, you're understanding how your website is performing, if
Mm.
it's performing well, if it's not performing well. You have, just like a salesperson has KPIs to close business, the marketer will have KPIs to generate those leads. So Do they go hand in hand? Yes, absolutely. But chances are they're two different people because they require two very different skill sets.
Right. Very different skill sets, very different kind of kind of attitude. Generally speaking, sales are motivated by, they want commission, right? So they have to make sales in order to, they're motivated by money. Whereas marketing is generally a team effort. Should the marketers be paid bonus for closed sales?
I think marketers should be paid bonuses based on KPIs that are set up.
Hmm.
Uh, so if it's to get to a place where, the business does 1 million, 2 million, whatever the KPI is, like everyone should have a common goal to get to those KPIs. And if those KPIs are met, then yeah, absolutely. The marketers should uh, we have a bonus structure at DigiCom, right? And it's a lot of it is based on how the company does, but also part of it is based on how the individual has done with their respective accounts. And you get scored on everything. It's a math equation. Numbers get plugged in, and from that, you're on your way to a bonus. And um, it it's yeah it's motivating, right? If you know that you're on track, you're hitting these numbers, it also positions your team to go out and aspire to be more, right? Maybe, cool, I got a bonus, I max this out, how do I get a promotion? Like, those are the team members I want on my team that are fighting for that next step, because ultimately it's going to help your business grow.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned KPIs, the key performance indicators, and I want to go back to. I love your attitude, Hemant, with your team. You have monthly meetings that are transparent. You openly show the books. The culture you really stress on. If people are stressed out to take a day off, you bowl together. You have dinners together. It's real refreshing attitude with your team. How did you develop that?
Okay, so I think it's been about 10 years. I worked at American Express, and the culture I found there was absolutely incredible.
Hmm.
Very positive, a lot of team building, and the one thing I really took away from that is build a good team, ensure people are happy. And if your team is happy, it will help with performance, whether it's personal performance, client performance. And so I kind of carried that with me throughout the years. And anytime I've been building a team, it's always about putting the team first, going to bat for them. If someone deserves a promotion, like sticking up for them. And then, coming kind of full circle, like team dinners. One thing my father did, so my father owned his own manufacturing company, produced for Macy's, Sears, Belk, Dillard, like all garment production. And
Hmm.
the one thing in his office that he would do when he was not traveling, when he was in town, would lunchtime, everybody eats lunch together.
Wow.
And you're not allowed to pick up the phone. Like, someone's calling, you can't answer an email. Everyone heats up their food or runs down, comes up, and sits together. And so, those like team events, it's all part of like team building. It's knowing that your team member is more than a colleague, that they're a person. And it's all about relationships, right? And it just builds better relationships.
Yeah, it's a very, very sobering and pleasant attitude. Now, you were born in Malaysia. You lived in several countries. You came to the U.S. You wanted to start your own business, but where did you get this love and passion for marketing?
Yeah. So like years ago, I jumped on YouTube and
Yeah.
learned how to run ads, Google ads, and learned how to leverage GoDaddy. This is like 14, 15 years ago now. And so from there, I did that for a few different people. And I really loved the fact that all of the numbers were in front of you, what your click through rates were, what your conversion rates were,
Mm.
and then you can calculate an ROI. And as you tinkered and made changes, things got better. Sometimes they didn't get better, but it's like continuous testing and learning. And Yeah, that's kind of how I got into marketing. And then from there, a few years after, go to American Express. Then, I worked for Jim Cramer at thestreet.com. And it was always in marketing. There are a lot of problems to solve, and there's a lot to do, and it's just continual education.
Yeah, you mentioned that you went to YouTube University.
Yup. Yes, I did. Uh,
There's so much information there. I mean, I remember I had to replace something in the kitchen, which I'm all thumbs, but I just saw some videos of garbage disposal, and I was able to do it. It was, it can be wonderful. What was it like working at Jim Cramer, the street? That must have been fascinating.
I had a great team. My leaders over there. Doreen Adger, when she left, she went to MIT Review. Stu Hollinshead, who's now the COO or CSO of Barstool Sports.
Hmm.
I worked with Margaret DeLuna, very passionate, hardworking. She was part of the Yahoo turnaround, and now she's at CNBC. And then also Roma Vakil, she's the head of marketing at Walmart Plus at the moment. And so I was very lucky to have quite an incredible team of leaders that believed in me, gave me very constructive feedback, and just pushed me to grow and develop certain skill sets. Um, yeah, like I had an incredible experience at the street.
Very,
And
very
then,
cool.
in terms of Jim Cramer, like that man works so hard.
He
Like
does, huh?
you see the TV personality, but he's one of those folks that can sleep 4 hours a day, gets up on top of the news, knows what's going on, is working across multiple businesses. He's no longer with the street at the moment, but that it's just the amount of work he puts into all of the things he's doing. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, he's been around for quite a while. A lot of resilience there. So we talked about doing marketing for, a tech firm, a service organization. How would you marketing? There's 4 million podcasts now. How would you market a podcast?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different ways to do it. I would say that, you know, having some sort of site set up, maybe some sort of intake form to like generate leads. If, like, for example, hey, listen to our podcast. Yeah, you can drive straight to the podcast, people can listen to it, but having maybe a pop up that uh, informs people like, we would love to keep you up to date on our releases. Sign up here to, so that we can keep you up to date, whether it's an email intake, SMS intake, that can help build your viewership. And then I think, like, similar to what I'd mentioned earlier on, it's when you have your socials set up, organic socials, and you're pushing all of your content out there, that increases your overall reach. And as you're getting more interactions, more people could potentially be listening. Cutting up your podcast into reels, into different forms of media, and distributing it, following a lot of the guidelines these platforms have. And the more interaction you have over time, the chances of you being listened to by a new user increases quite a bit.
Mm. Do marketers do a good job of marketing themselves?
I think that depends on the marketer. There's some marketers that are very into creative, and uh, maybe they didn't build themselves a blog yet, or a portfolio yet, while there are other marketers that have everything all set up. Here's my portfolio, here's how we can do business. I think it just very much depends on the marketer.
Mm. So, Hemant, we talk a lot on the podcast. I lost a lot of weight. I started my business in the '90s, and all of a sudden, I found myself way overweight. I was eating too much pizza and drinking soda. Doctor said to me, I was pre-diabetic, pre-hypertension. You're not going to see your daughter graduate. So I had to lose a lot of weight. First question people ask me is, how'd you do it? And I always say discipline, right? It's
Yeah.
no magic way. There's no, losing weight is one of the hardest things to do. And I just say discipline. I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life.
Yeah. So I think that's a great question, and I know you do speak about discipline a lot, and it's important, right? It plays in, and it comes together in many different ways, right? Like what you eat. Do you continuously exercise? Are you putting time aside to learn new things? Um, I think in terms of what discipline, it's for me. It's like there are ups and downs in any business. When you're in an upswing, how do you stay, because it's easy to take your foot off the gas.
Yeah.
How do you stay on top of what you need to accomplish? Like I use monday.com. I have lists. As I'm continuously thinking about new things, I'm writing it down or leaving notes to myself or sending Slack messages to the team like, hey, we need to like work on X, Y, and Z as things are happening. And then there's the part where, if things are slowing down, how do you still stay disciplined? Like entrepreneurship can be very lonely. Only other entrepreneurs, I personally think now will really understand what you're going through if
Hmm.
things are slowing down. But that discipline means that, hey, on the weekend, say you need to build your client portfolio or do X, Y, and Z. Instead of going out on the weekend or spending all of your time doing leisurely activities, discipline to me means that, hey, you're still spending the 5, 6, 7 hours a day, whatever it takes to get to or learn about what you need to accomplish, right? So and just being on top of that is, it's very important. And I think that if you're controlling gym time or time to read or your diet, it's a lot easier to be disciplined, just because it all goes hand in hand.
Mm. When clients get upset that, marketing's not working, or, they get upset because it's not, perhaps the goals weren't clearly defined and they're getting upset. What is it, and you have to have the kind of the talk with them, and you have to kind of calm them down and say, this is, what is going to happen. Is discipline involved there? Do they need to understand exactly what marketing is, and perhaps you explained it and they don't quite grasp it?
Yeah, so I think the part of discipline that's involved there might, like on the client side, there could be a number of different things, right?
Mm,
Like, does the client understand the strategy? Does the like, or are they informed enough about like growth or acquisition or how things are supposed to work? They just might not be, or you're just not hitting goals because things are very challenging because of macroeconomic like factors. Like that is a part of it, right? But
mm,
it's our responsibility as marketers to provide the data. And it's not, hey, let's meet once a month. It's, hey, we're in Slack. We saw that sales were low yesterday. We think that a conversion pixel fell off. Like letting the client know right away, providing the data and analysis on the decision making on a weekly basis. It's very important. And then setting expectations, right? So say it's a new client, their targets to get to $100. We've run the audit. We see areas that are scalable. Their current CPAs are $200. Month one, you're not going to be at $100 most of the times. You're probably at 150,
mm,
125. So building out that plan where it says we'll get to, here's our forecast. We're at 200. This is how we get to 125. You say you get to like 140. Okay, cool. We need to improve click through rate or conversion rate, or we need to improve AOV. Here are the tests we want to run. Like setting those expectations weekly and monthly and following up on them gives the client the information as to what you're doing, why you're doing it, and not all your tests are going to work. That's the reality of it, right?
mm,
But the tests that do work, can you scale those up? And in terms of weighted average, can that support a higher budget amount while your testing is a lower amount, right? So um, I think it's that communication, having discipline, and providing the education and information of what's going on is very important. And I think that's that's what we do to have tough client conversations.
Managing expectations and iterate and improve. That's what we need to do. Hemant Varshney, what motivates you?
That's a great question. I like to build things. I like to, continuous problem solving. I think being a business owner, I get to experience that quite a bit, especially as we work with a number of different brands. Each brand has its own challenge, and those two things motivate me. When I do need time away, I love to travel. I've traveled quite a bit. I've been very fortunate for being able to travel. And stepping away, exploring new cultures, eating different food, listening to new music. Those are some things that motivate me. Yeah.
Hmm. And how do you measure success?
So for business, that could be retention rate, right? Measuring retention rate of clients. One thing we did, I think, particularly well last year was have a retention rate of 83%,
Oh,
which for agencies, it's a pretty solid number.
yeah.
Account signs, but then also the qualitative part is how our clients feel about us. Catching up with founders, understanding what's going on, either providing feedback or getting feedback on things they need support on from us, or if it's something we don't do, how do we build that out? I think that's a qualitative way that I'm kind of defining success, and a quantitative way.
It's amazing to me. I am in the tech industry, and when I talk to these a lot of small tech businesses, it's just like, well, all we need is sales. But really, marketing is kind of it's it's underemphasized when it's perhaps just as important as sales,
Yeah, it's your top of funnel. How do people find you?
right?
It's important. Yeah, everything from your brand positioning to onboarding that lead and then going through the sales cycle. Like, yeah, it fits hand in hand. Yes, it's two different beasts, but they're both equally important to help grow your brand.
Hmm. And it would seem to me that marketing is less or is less difficult to outsource and keeping sales inside. Obviously with DigiCom, you'd suggest that.
I think it depends on the brand, right? There
Mhm.
are some, okay, so building a marketing team internally, the pros of that is once you get to a certain media spend number or a certain size, it might be more advantageous to do it internally. With the cons of, is your team learning new things? If
Mm.
someone's just running Facebook ads for you and another person's running just Google ads, how are they keeping up with industry trends, right? Are they going to conferences? Are they getting like consulting sessions? It's important because things are always changing. For a lot of partners we work with, they're usually venture backed, raised $2 million pre-series B. And for them, or if they're a private company, they're doing $2 million plus, they're spending 20 to 30K, and our goal is to get them to a place where they're spending 200 to 500K profitably. And what's not
Mm.
advantageous is when you're a smaller company, you need to hire a head of growth, you need to hire somebody to do your creative, you need help with budgeting, planning, your website, and then the media buyer, right? So each one of these headcounts can be 5K, 8K a month. Before you know it, it's like 25, $30,000. And so for partners that are looking to scale, from that 20K, 30K range to the 200, 300, 400K range, it's probably more advantageous for them to work with us, in the sense where like our model is the greater of a retainer or media spend, and we do everything in house. Like our goal is to be our partner's bolt-on team.
Thank you so much for your time today, Hammond. I was really excited when you accepted this. I Love talking about business, and marketing is just so essential for growth. How can we get in touch with you?
Sure. Please visit our site digicom.io or follow us, on our socials. It's digicom.io. Um, and thank you very much for having me on the site. I've been very excited about this.
Oh, you're quite welcome. So DigiCom is DIGICOM, one M. We'll certainly in .io. We'll put it in the show notes. Thank you so much again, Hemant. I really appreciate your time. And when I'm back in the Northeast, maybe we'll have a cup of coffee. We'll go for that $100 hamburger, right? And you know what that is very much, right? You're a private pilot.
Yeah, let's do it.
You be well. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pin's Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information. The video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Would you like to financially support the podcast? You can go to our Patreon site. Consider $5, $10, or $20 a month. There's all kind of plans that we have there. There's like a one-time payment. What is this podcast episode worth to you? $25, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. You be the judge. You can go to our PayPal account to do that as well. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pin's Discipline Conversations.